Sup, and welcome to another Library Chess Productions movie review. And this time I'll be reviewing Anon, a new sci-fi movie that just hit Netflix. I got Animal from the Muppets here, so let's do this. So the short and skinny of Anon is that it takes place in the future where we all have stuff implanted into our eyes to record everything I see, which makes crime less. It says in the description that it gets rid of crime, but crime still happens, but it's very easy to solve who did it. Clive Owens and Amanda Seyfried are in this. Clive Owens plays a hard-drinking detective, and Amanda Seyfried plays somebody known only as the Girl, a hacker that threatens the security of the entire system. But the problem that Netflix is facing in a lot of their original movies, whether they make it themselves or they just, buy it like Cloverfield, is that they're either not good or they're only okay. But sci-fi movies especially, they're not doing real great this year. And Anon is okay. But I don't live in this world where something either has to be great or crappy. And when I say okay, I actually mean it's okay. It's not me trying to say that it's bad. Which seems like a really silly thing to have to say, but in my experience, a lot of people, when they ask me what a movie's like, I say, yeah, it's okay. And they go, oh, you didn't really like it? No, I liked it. The first problem is that it's relatively shallow. It has timely ideas that we can relate to, but it doesn't really fully explore them. Sure, it touches on them and the whole world is built around these ideas, and it has its little watchdogs aesthetic where people can see every little detail about people just by looking at them. But aside from the bits and pieces scattered throughout the movie, it doesn't really go far enough to establish a truly memorable world. So that makes the movie a little bland, ultimately, but Clive Owens doesn't really help it because he seems a little bored. I just don't really feel like he displayed any kind of emotion that I could get behind. On the flip side, Amanda Seyfried puts in pretty decent work here. She does play a sexy femme fatale, and she does it well. It spins a fairly interesting whodunit tale. Nothing groundbreaking by any means, but decent enough that I was entertained and I wanted to see what happened. But it does get caught up in repetition. They show one particular scene, and this isn't me trying to make any kind of commentary on the male gaze fantasy because I'm a male and I appreciate a good set of tits. And Roger Ebert, once he famously would give movies extra points for having tits. So I'm not trying to say that, but there is a part that they keep going back to where they show Amanda Seyfried's tits, and don't get me wrong, they're nice and she's an attractive girl and whatever, but it didn't seem necessary. And there's other scenes that just go on too long, like they make their point but then they got to keep making their point and they don't really have to. And sometimes it flirts with wanting to be an erotic thriller with some fairly softcore porn scenes, and it doesn't manage to hit that note because it's really not that sexy. And along with that is some pretty hokey dialogue by intelligent cops where they say one thing and it's just like, why would you even say that? That's so stupid. The ending was a little ham-fisted and abrupt and didn't really go in a direction that satisfied me, which is a shame because Anon herself is a pretty cool villain up until that point. I mean, she's a hacker and she can pretty much hack in anything. She does some really neat things, some pretty menacing things, and I was really disappointed with the way it turned out. And I don't know why I did that. So what do I give this new Netflix original? I give it an eh. And the eh in this situation is actually a slight pass, which I know sounds a little weird because I've spent a lot of this time crapping on the movie. And that's mostly because, it does some things wrong, but I don't actually think the flaws, for the most part, are really that bad. Some of them are a little nitpicky, and I don't really put a lot of stock in nitpicky arguments. I kind of just gloss over them. But I have this thing where really all a movie has to do is entertain me. It can be bad, but if it entertains me, I'll give it a passing grade because that's why I go to the movies, to be entertained. And this did manage to do that, even though it's not a great movie and Netflix isn't making a name for itself anymore with coming out with these originals. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Some come out and they're really great. So that's my review of Anon. As always, I'm going to kick it to Castle, the best bunny critic in the biz. See ya.
So tell me something. Do the ideas presented in this movie scare you? Clearly not, because now he wants to sleep.